ESPN FC Live, Saturday. And what about this for a scoreline? Chelsea 1, Sunderland 2 in the Premier League. Mark Donaldson, Janusz Michallik. To look back on this one, and Janusz, I'm going to take you back to 2014. Chelsea score first at home to Sunderland. The visitors equalise not long after, and then get all 3 points to head back to the northeast near the end of the game. The same thing happened today. What did you make of what you saw?
I definitely don't remember the 2014. I hardly remember yesterday. However, look, what an opportunity this was for Chelsea, right? 4 straight wins in all competitions. You think that with all the issues they have, and they've had issues with key players and constantly a different lineup, 8 changes from the Ajax games. Today, an early goal, as you've said, and you think they're going to go from strength to strength. And we're talking about Chelsea in the second place. And you say to yourself, you know what? I mean, if they can be in second while missing so many key players throughout, it may not be a bad shout for Chelsea to challenge the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, right? And then you have that. And, as the game went on, I just thought of them as a paper tiger. I mean, they're not even that, maybe jack of all trades, but master of none. I don't know what their trademark is. They do a lot of things well, but not one thing that you say to yourself, wow, that is that trademark. If they just do this more consistently, they're gonna score. So I mean, obviously scoring goals is not an issue in general. Conceding is. You can sort of understand that with that back 4 constantly changing because of injuries, suspensions, whatever it may be. But I think the rest should do better. This really was criminal, a massive loss.
Régis Lebris, the Sunderland coach, with a perfect performance from his team based on the way he set them up. It wasn't a backs to the wall. It was have a go when you can, but don't be too gung-ho. They had opportunities. Look, they had to defend a lot. They hardly came out of their own half for large chunks of the second half, but they always looked, I don't know if comfortable is the right word, but they looked like they knew what they were doing. And the winning goal is a bonus. Make no mistake about that. But if they'd gone back with a point, you could have argued it was thoroughly deserved. Instead, they go back with all 3.
Yeah, look, I mean, Sunderland have done a tremendous job. I mean, they know how to defend low, but it's not a team that just defends low. They do that well, and they counter in numbers, right? This is not your normal counter where inferior team from time to time will get loose. No, when they break, they break. We saw that on that second goal as well. There's so many issues there defensively from Chelsea. It's almost too funny that they did score that. But in the first half, when I look at the statistics, possession was 70-30. I think in the end I didn't look up, but it's probably the same or maybe even more. But attempts on goal were 8-7, and in the second half as well, Chelsea had the ball, but I mean, I can't think of too many clear-cut chances for them throughout the game. As a matter of fact, I think Sunderland probably, if you look at expected goals, they were better than Chelsea. They see, there you have it, right? So I know they were in the first half. I just assume in the second half because, as I've said, I mean, Chelsea playing at home with a great start to that game, right? For them, you think, it's going to be over. But take nothing away from Sunderland. I mean, look, they're going to start falling down. It just always happens. But for them to be in the second place in the table right now, it's credit to them. And as I've said, Chelsea, Mark, I just don't know what they play. I don't know how they play. Every game I look at them, even in the games that they have won and they've done some good things, you look at Chelsea and makes you wonder, what is it that they try to accomplish?
You know what the weird thing is, Janusz? I don't know how much of a surprise this is. Not so much that Sunderland have gone there, but we've seen this in the past from Chelsea. They'll beat the best. They've beaten Liverpool. They were outstanding against Ajax. They put 3 past Nottingham Forest. But they just seem like a side that's got a lot of creativity, but not enough of an end product. And that is a problem in games that they're going to have a lot more possession. You're right. You said 70%. They had 69%. Expected goals was under 1. Sunderland had 1.16. Are they too easy now for opponents to read, especially when they're at home? Give them the ball, defend deep, play with pace on the counter-attack. Is that the blueprint to go to Stamford Bridge to try and get a result?
Yeah, but you could say that a lot about a lot of teams that need to possess the ball. Sometimes get frustrated. If it's Manchester City, Barcelona's of the world, the teams that have possession and they need to break teams down. They have proven that they have done it, right? I mean, 17 goals, not bad. I think it's best in the Premier League at the moment. 10 different goal scorers. But the problem is, it's good to score by committee, but in the games like this, look, this is simple. You look at João Pedro, he's gone cold. I think last goal, when was it? End of August or something like that, right? Mark Guiu, it's still green. I mean, he's young and he's green, and one goal against Ajax, or it's not going to change anything. He needs time. Delap is close, but he's not there. You've got to put away those chances, right? As I said, they didn't create it enough today, but that possession in the opponent's half is good enough. It has been good enough if you look at, Chelsea as a whole. So I just think that, you can have today two players that are non-existent, and that is Mark Guiu and João Pedro. Enzo Fernandez, another very good game. You know what Caicedo's going to give you, and again, statistically, fair play. Reece James, he was absolutely outstanding, doing exactly what he needed to do. I have a massive issue with Cucurella because he was everywhere doing absolutely nothing. And oh, by the way, one of those players that's frustrating. I don't know why. Maybe because of long hair. No, I'm just joking. But, for years he was frustrating, but he's been actually very good for Chelsea. You got to give him credit. But today wasn't one of those games. I mean, I was just looking at him, and his movement was pretty much like mine when I was when I was young and playing with my friends in front of the house. You just wanted to do everything and be everyone in every position on the pitch. And that was frustrating for me, at least in terms of organization. So it was one of those games. Again, chaos is the only word I can use.
Why did these results happen? And stressing again, you said it earlier, Sunderland have gone second. Just think about that for a second. This is a side that came up through the playoffs last year. So why do these results happen when a side in Sunderland would be lucky to have one player maybe get into that Chelsea lineup? Is it a case of hard work beating ability if ability doesn't work hard?
No, I think it's too easy to say that they didn't work hard. Let's not forget. I mean, I think, I think they're still Chelsea are still the youngest team in the Premier League, just about every game. The rotations are incredible. There's a lot of players to please, but because of injuries and suspensions, you have to do that. I think this is a team, though, that needs stability, even while missing, the Palmers, the Colwells, and Mal Gusto today because of suspension. I think there needs to be some stability. And I understand it's not easy when you have to deal with the Champions League, all the Cups, and the Premier League as well. But I think when you have a very, very young team, sometimes you have to give them run of play. You have to make the right decision. Look, I think that Maresca sometimes changes things for the sake of changing. I think his read on Garnacho today was terrible. I mean, it was so easy to take Pedro Neto, who did nothing. A player, once again, that I very much admire, that's been very good for Chelsea. He's certainly a creative player. But when Esteval came in, Garnacho scored the goal. I think he was very much involved, made some bad decisions, but he was always attacking. He looked always dangerous, and it would have been easy. Leave Garnacho there. Esteval comes on the right side. Didn't understand that as well. So all these changes, all these rotations, fair play, but it seems to me that it's just one massive rotation every game.
When Garnacho was substituted, as you've just referenced, by Esteval, he was annoyed. He was frustrated. He'd scored the goal and he came off. You've played the game, Janusz, and like Stevie Nicol as well. Like when Liverpool won those titles, they had 15, 16 players, and that was about it. It was same again. You win, it was same again if there's no injuries. How frustrating must it be? We spoke earlier about Chelsea having all these ways of creating potential goals, but not enough to actually put the ball in the back of the net as far as strikers are concerned. If you're a player and no matter how well you do, because Garnacho, as you quite rightly said, was by no means the worst today, you might not even get an hour. How is that possible to gain that kind of repeat consistency and momentum?
Yeah, and especially for a player that has left Manchester United. I mean, he's not an easy player to deal with, as we all know, right? But he's looking for consistency. He's looking for the time that when he does play well, that he's going to get that opportunity. So I think this was a perfect moment for Maresca to recognize the fact that he was, arguably the Chelsea's, other than Reece James, best player, and keep him on, because that goes a long way. Because I almost have to imagine that Garnacho is at a stage that he almost expects to be taken out, because that's what's been happening to him for the last 2-3 seasons as well. And sometimes he deserved it, but today he didn't. So I bet you when he saw Estevao there, part of him probably said, "Come on, it can't be me this time, right?" Half expecting that it was him, and it was. So look, I mean, did that change the game? Is the reason that Chelsea lost? I don't know, but maybe because the game was so close, and who knows? Maybe he would have scored another goal. Let's not forget, I think there was that chance. I don't know if you remember Pedro Neto with Garnacho on the break, and he didn't give Garnacho a good ball. It was 2 against 1 because I think Sadiki made a wrong decision by not attacking the ball. I think if Pedro Neto gives him a proper ball in front of him, Garnacho goes one-on-one and perhaps scores that.
What are Sunderland doing right?
I think they're just play with themselves. They know what they've been, right? I think they sort of know that everybody expects them to go down. They have massive leadership in Xhaka, and that is absolutely worth repeating, right? It's not a coincidence, and I know everybody's singing his praises, but what he's done after leaving Arsenal, let's not forget, this was a captain that, remember his relationship with Arsenal fans at one point when he was coming off substituted. I don't think you can forget that, right? And I don't want to say love-hate relationship there, but definitely maybe not 100% sold on him. Then he goes to Leverkusen, shows his quality. Then everybody questions, why would he leave Bundesliga? And Leverkusen, who's been decimated, obviously, in terms of coaching and the best players, and all of a sudden goes to Sunderland. Well, I tell you what, Sunderland knew exactly what they were doing, because they probably came to him and said, look, help us. You're going to be the key player. You're going to be the reason that we are going to stay in Premier League, and we're not going to go down as everyone expects us to do. And again, today, exceptional in so many different ways on both sides of the ball, reading the game like the experienced player that he is. Sadiki, you look at Talbi, the goal scorer with the winner as well, coming off the bench and making the difference. This, by the way, one player scoring, because subs didn't help Chelsea in this one. So I just think it's one of those that when results go your way, you just grow. And as I've said, we saw that with Nottingham Forest last year. I wish Sunderland all the best. You got to get the points early. You get the points early, and then the pressure goes off. And I think if you look at Sunderland, they're definitely playing above themselves, Mark, because they've started so well, and they sort of know that if they defend the way they will, they have enough players to kind of get them over. And even Broby, speaking of substitutes, right, the way he held that ball up was superb, waiting for Salby. So it's just confidence of winning early.
And taking care of your home form. Anything you get on the road, if you can pick up a point here or there, they won at Forest. They've now won at Chelsea. These are bonus games. Certainly the Chelsea one is. You go to Chelsea, you go to Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, all these places. If you can get something there, it's points you don't kind of account for at the start of the season. But they're still unbeaten at home, and they've got Everton next. Now, look, you know fine well who I support, and my team's top of the league in Scotland, in Hearts. There's this element of getting carried away, but there's also the element of, hold on, we're Sunderland, or hold on, we're Hearts. We know our place. If you're a Sunderland fan right now, yes, it's great to be second. I'm sure you'd still take 17th in the table, but how far can they dream, given the start to the season that their side has had?
Yeah, it's too early to dream for them, right?
It's not. But Janusz, it's too late to dream when you start plummeting down the table if they go on a run of results. So why deny them the chance to potentially get a European spot? The likelihood is they're going to be bottom half of the table. But why can't they dream right now?
Yeah, I just think that it doesn't happen when you're a player. After just a few games.
No players, fans.
Oh, fans, Yeah, I think even the fans, I think they're smart enough. They know their history. They know of a bit of a yo-yo, right? They know what has happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years. We all seen the documentaries and all of that, and the heartaches and all of that. So I think if you're a fan of Sunderland, you don't want to be disappointed again. So of course, I mean, if you're a fan, come another 2, 3, or 4 games, if they continue with this form, then you're sort of like Forest. But look where Forest were, last season. I mean, just towards the end, they dropped off. So I think these fans are realistic. They've got to enjoy the moment. It seems to me that the players and the fans are doing that right now. And I promise you, if I don't know, but I'll bet, that if you go to a pub after a home game right now, these fans aren't talking about Europe just yet.
No, but as I said, if they offered them 17th right now, they would probably take it. But this is a time of the season whereby you're not going to get relegated right now if you're on this run of form. And it's just a case of enjoying it, because teams like Sunderland and Forest last year, you don't want to be woken up from this dream that you're having, especially when they've struggled for so long to get back into this.
You're not going to convince me. I'm not buying it, because you know what? Because we just started the season, and you could see anyone in this league, especially Sunderland, they can go on a 5, 6 game losing streak. And what then? You're fighting relegation. Nobody. You can't convince me right now that they're dreaming of Europe at this moment.
Are you telling me it's too early to talk about Sunderland title talk?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. What about Newcastle? Another side from the Northeast, another side leaving it late to beat a team from London. This time Newcastle 2, Fulham 1, a game that Newcastle took a first half lead, but Fulham got themselves back into this game, and then Bruno Guimaraes late on with the winning goal. What did you make of this one?
Well, first and foremost, it was a superb game. It was wide open, as we all know it. I mean, this is a Fulham team on a bad run. What is it, 4th straight now or 5? But they can play. I mean, they were frankly as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than Newcastle were at times. I'll get to it at times, because certainly Newcastle had so many chances. But I thought that Newcastle were going to waste what they did early. They're going to waste the energy from St. James's Park, right? Because that should be a special place where they win everything this season. And granted, I mean, they've lost some games, Arsenal, Liverpool, even Barcelona comes to mind. Those are not easy matches. But I think for Newcastle, a team that wants to be in the Champions League, they should be taking advantage of that game. And they had so many chances. I mean, to hit the post twice. Voltemata one was a sitter. Has to score that. Jacob Murphy had in the first half. Jacob Murphy scored a goal, and he had an identical chance in the second half to make it 2-0. It was the first half still, to make it 2-0, and the game would have been done and dusted. And Bert Leno saved him in the second half. Guimaraes had a sitter. It was a header from 5 yards out, and he had a great shot from distance, just inches away. Tonali half chances here and there. So, I mean, it was just a number of chances. And just as you thought it was going to be a negative feeling, playing at home, taking the lead, and not seeing this game through, Bruno Guimaraes, just, a great rebound. Osula comes in, save from the goalkeeper, and Bruno Guimaraes puts it away. A very, very important 3 points for Newcastle, because remember, they didn't have a good start, did they, to the season? When you look at them, they need to go on a bit of a run to once again establish themselves, because look, if you look at Newcastle and their starting 11, they're as good as most. I don't want to say they're as good as any, because I'll get pushback, but I could say that as good as any. And even when you look at on the bench, now most of the players are healthy. You say to yourself, this is a good squad, even though they lost Isak. And it was almost a disappointment. So this should go a long way, because imagine how they feel right now, scoring a winner so late.
Looking at Fulham's results that you mentioned, lost 3-1 at Villa, lost 3-1 at Bournemouth, lost 1-0 at home to Arsenal, and now they've lost 2-1 at Fulham. 5 times they've been on the road this season already. 4 of them they've lost, just the 1 point. What are Fulham right now? And we'll get to what Newcastle are right now, because they're 3 wins, 3 draws, and 3 defeats from their 9 games. But Fulham, are they just a side that should be too good to go down, but probably don't have enough to trouble a top half finish?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is that it seems to me that over the last few seasons, Fulham has established themselves as a perennial Premier League team. Again,
Yep.
I mentioned a yo-yo club in the past. I mean, certainly they are one of them, right? It comes to mind with Leeds and all that. I think Marco Silva is doing a tremendous job. They play open, they play to attack, they play to win games, and I wouldn't call them naive, but I think in the next game or two they probably need to play to get a result. I don't know if Marco Silva will do that, but I think at some stage you're going to see Fulham win 2 or 3 straight, maybe give their fans a little bit of hope, Mark, and then as you know, comes February, March, April, it's going to be somewhere middle of the park there, or middle of the table for Fulham. So I just think that more of the same for Fulham, which, it's great to be a part of the Premier League and not worry too much. But 4 straight now? Is it 4 or 5? I should know, but apologies. We're doing this live right after I almost...
Fulham have lost 4 straight.
4 straight. So I was right. So, yeah, that's never good. That's never good.
It's Wolves next at home for them. Got to take care of your home form. So big opportunity for them to kind of kick on after the midweek League Cup ties and bounce back from this horrible run. Newcastle, what are they right now? Because they're not what they were at the start of the season. They're better than that. They've got their striker now, albeit today should have scored and didn't, Voltemada, but he's at a really good start to his Newcastle campaign. What should they realistically be aiming for now that their form of late is far better than their form to begin with?
I absolutely top 4. As I've mentioned, I look at the starting 11, the squad for the most part, and there is a talent. I think it's just that a little bit of a readjustment, I would say, in the way they play when they had Isak and Voltemada, right? I mean, I think they were much more dangerous in playing in behind because of the pace of Isak, ability to dribble and from deep, and Voltemada is a different player, of course, right? You have to play a little bit wider. You're looking for some deliveries for him. For a big man, Voltemada is very good with his feet. I don't want to take anything away from him, and I'm not suggesting that Voltemada is sort of because of his size, he's just going to score headers and look for crosses all the time, because he's very good in the build-up. We saw that in Europe the other day, that wonderful goal that Newcastle scored as well. But it is a little bit different. So Anthony Gordon looks good. Jacob Murphy, as I said, a superb finish on the first goal. Should have scored almost an identical chance that he had. That was actually easier than the one that he scored. So look, Tonali was rested today. That midfield, Guimaraes, Tonali, Joelinton, as good as any. I'll say that here when they're in form. So definitely a team that's going to be fighting for top 4, perhaps 1 or 2 top class players short of. Look, when Arsenal puts up a tempo like this, it's a little bit like Liverpool in the past, a little bit like Manchester City, right? It's Liverpool now that worries. We have to keep up with the Joneses. So is Manchester City, and Newcastle is one of those teams. And we're not going to sit here and say that they're going to challenge for the title.